Hey, welcome to Geek Tank, a place where we hypothesize and ponder some of the interesting things about the geekdom in the worlds we live in. Today, we're going to be taking a look at, and I actually have a funny feeling everyone's taking a look at, Tears of the Kingdom, the Breath of the Wild sequel for The Legend of Zelda that is coming out oh so soon.
About like
time of
2
recording
weeks, right?
this. Yeah, it's time of recording this. It's 2 weeks. Scott, how you feeling about that?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. I think it's going to be a great game. Now, people initially assumed it would be just like Breath of the Wild, but the more footage we get from this game, the more it feels like a game more mixed with like Minecraft-y worlds, like you're surviving in a world instead of you're thriving. And it's entertaining, and I can't wait to get into it. I'm excited for it.
So I was one of the people who were like, actually, I really hope it is a lot like Breath of the Wild, because I love Breath of the Wild.
There's nothing wrong with more Breath of the Wild, right?
Probably sunk hundreds of hours. I know I've at least beat it like all the way through. So I full on got 900 core exceeds.
Oh, I did not do that.
I full on 100% completed it, and then I've gone back and 100%ed except for the core exceeds it again, and then I've definitely beat it 2 more times other than that. I'm going through it again right now. And I'd love to figure out how to use mods, because I'd love to play play a Zelda mod.
Oh, that's cool.
That sounds like a really interesting
All right.
interesting way to play it. So I've sunk enough time into this game where I'm like, I really hope the next one is actually a lot like this.
Yeah.
And the good news is, I think between both of what we've been saying, like, it looks a lot like Breath of the Wild, but equally, it doesn't. And so, like, it has like the mechanics of Breath of the Wild, but new mechanics, and like they've done a good job so far on how they've seemed to present it.
Yeah. So for Breath of the Wild, I got it for the Wii U. I actually stood in line the night of the Wii U release. No, the Switch launch. That's right. It came out on the Wii U and the Switch at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But the night it came out was the Switch launch. So I stood in line like a true geek, waiting for the midnight release of the Switch. But I didn't buy a Switch. I just bought the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild, and I went home and played 2 hours at midnight.
Did you? In 2 hours, would that get you?
It didn't. I was not off the plateau. I was just
what I'm like.
Learning.
I'm
the
like,
game
nowadays, 2 hours would be off the plateau, but
Sure.
then
No,
2 hours
absolutely
is
not. I had to
like,
explore
I'm not
everything.
quite sure how to even get up this giant hill, and why am I freezing to death?
Right. And you died to that blue bokoblin how many times?
Yeah, or the
First one, you're like, whoa, I didn't expect this to be hard.
Yeah, because there's no moblins up on the Great Plateau. Right?
Not in the regular mode. I think it's
in master mode.
In master mode, there's a not Hinox. The big scary ones. Lionel, yeah. There's a Lionel on the Great Plateau, which is impossible almost. Master mode's tough. Until you get off the plateau, then you're like, okay.
Here's what I will confess. I've not done master mode. I've actually
try.
So I need to recant something I said previously, because there's 2 things I have not completed. I have not completed the Trial of the Sword.
Oh no, you have to do that. So you haven't even got the bike, right?
I've gotten 2 tiers up, so I just never did the last one.
Yeah. The bike was the other
kind
part
of like void of story. Battling didn't really interest me. Like, I was bored.
Yeah, it's more of a challenge to your skill. Not that you're not skilled, but like the trial of the sword is a trial of your skill at the game, and like how.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that I was like, cool, this is fun, but like, I've beat the game enough that I really.
You did do the other part of the DLC though, right? The Ballad of the
Champions.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, and you get the motorcycle. I mean,
that's where you get the motorcycle.
Spoiler,
you're right.
But that can't be a spoiler this far.
Breath of the Wild spoilers aren't real.
And I didn't do the compendium.
Oh, I don't,
because
that kind of collecting is
camera mode is just never my thing.
Yeah,
like I've
watched
it on like
a lot of crazy PS5 games where it's like, this is real life. Let's take a camera mode picture.
I can appreciate the like craftsmanship of it, but as far as like me wanting to spend time doing it, in no game have I ever gone like, I really want to take a picture of myself as this character,
right,
in this world.
Like, do silly poses with people.
Yeah.
Although it made you do it once with that lady in the beginning, right? You learned it.
Purah.
Like, take a picture with Purah. Yeah.
Snap.
Yep. So
Yeah. But with so much time, probably between the two of us, I'm safely betting 500 hours
easily.
into Breath of the Wild. That makes us in no way experts to talk about Tears of the Kingdom, but I feel we probably have some thoughts. We have some ponderances. I've watched way too many YouTube videos and read way too many articles about other people's thoughts.
Did you watch all the new preview stuff that just came out like yesterday? Or 2 days
I
ago?
have been trying not to.
Okay, it does not give away much. It shows a couple more things you can add to your bow and arrow where you shoot.
I watched,
but for the most part, it's literally just the stuff that Onima played.
Yeah, and a little bit of you get to see the new Sheikah Towers. So I did watch one. I watched the kind of prolific Zelda like mastermind Zeltec. I watched his.
He's great.
Basically, because also he promised that he wasn't going to do any of the leak stuff.
There's been a lot of leak stuff, and I have not touched any of that.
I have avoided the leak stuff as well. So that's why I was like, cool. This is a YouTuber I'm going to trust. But I was wondering, we've learned a lot more now about like loosely the story. Not like a lot more, but a lot more compared to what we knew maybe like 4 months ago.
Sure, when there was nothing.
Any storyline predictions? Now, clearly, we don't know. We didn't read the spoilers or anything.
I gotta admit, I've not played Skyward Sword, so all this talk of demise is a little bit out of my expertise. I have Skyward Sword, and I've started it. And actually, I might try to get Skyward Sword done before Tears of the Kingdom, because I have this beautiful...
Oh, look at that. Tilt it down just slightly. Oh, look. So pretty. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Yep.
So anyway, I'm watching the camera here.
Yeah, no, I was doing my best to sing the Tears of the Kingdom theme. You know that part when it rewinds it?
Oh, yeah, the rewind part.
It is such a good-looking...
It's gorgeous. And I like how they have the white on the back of the gold controllers. At first, I was like, maybe if they were all gold, it would be cool, but...
Yeah, it is... I mean, that was one of the rumors, right? We knew that was going to come out at some point.
Sure. And that it looks like this demise. And it made sense back when they're like, oh, hey, by the way, Tears of the Kingdom's coming. Here's a game to play. Bam! Skyward Sword. And it's like, huh.
So, before we get in, so I'll actually loop back because you brought something up, and before we get too far in, I've been pondering about why Skyward Sword was released.
Yes,
and so
for the Switch, of course, not
for
back
the
on the
Switch,
Wii.
just in general, full stop. No,
why would they release this?
Primarily for the Switch. So, like last year, right? It was the 35th anniversary.
Oh yeah, Zelda. We had all those rumors.
All the rumors about tons of different things because, the 35th anniversary of Mario, we got all these great, amazing things.
Yep.
And then the 35th anniversary for Zelda seemed like really underwhelming. But there were so many rumors about like Wind Waker coming out.
Yeah.
And
because all they have to do is port those things from the Wii U, right?
Yeah, and they're already made.
So many games.
They're already made, and they're already great. And then maybe just... I will say that I understand that the 3DS runs off a different kind of chip and stuff like that. Supporting that's a little less easy, but the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is beautiful enough.
Yeah.
So there were those things we thought we'd get a Zelda All-Stars.
A Zelda All-Stars.
And it didn't happen. What we got instead was the least likely game to come out.
I would have to say that Skyward Sword is one of the least liked games. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but out of all like the bigger games, that when you ask somebody what's their favorite Zelda game, I've never heard Skyward Sword. I have heard people say that Skyward Sword is their favorite music in the series, which is
great
good.
Music. And I will say, so I've just recently finished it. Finished it for the first time. I thought I had finished it before, and then halfway through, like I thought I was replaying it just to refresh my memory.
Sure.
Halfway through, I realized that I had like combined in my head Twilight Princess.
Ooh.
So I was like, wait, why aren't I riding the thingy thing? Oh, wait, the spinner. And I'm like, that's Twilight Princess.
I remember you got the Nintendo Wii when it came out, and your setup was, there was a nice like a lawn chair in your living room sitting in front of the TV because the
Right,
Wii
like
you had to sit like in a
center.
certain spot
Yep.
for the beginning before the Motion Plus.
That was my
The
time to
Twilight
sit.
Princess.
I camped out overnight to get the Wii.
Oh, that's right.
But so it's interesting because both not Twilight Princess, both Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild are not native Switch games. So Tears of the Kingdom is going to be our first native Switch game.
Yeah, made for the Switch. I know a lot of people are worried about it because of the performance issues Nintendo's have been popping out recently.
Yeah, Pokemon, right?
Pokemon, fantastic game. I couldn't put it down, but still, there were performance issues.
They eventually updated that to slightly smooth out some of them, didn't they?
I don't know. I haven't really.
I haven't gone back. Couldn't deal with it. But the choice to release, so it was Twilight Princess came out with a Wii.
Yep.
And then right in like the death rattles of the Wii, Skyward
The Wii's
Sword
still
came
alive
out.
and kicking. I got mine right here.
Well, but Skyward Sword came out for the Wii after the Wii Motion Plus.
Correct. And Wii Motion Plus came out, and they're like, "This is what we wanted you to feel with swinging the sword in Twilight Princess."
But the problem was the novelty had worn off for the Wii by then. Because like most gamers were like, I don't want to swing a sword. I want to play a game.
Tired of waggling. Yep.
Yeah. And with Skyward Sword, you have to actually not only swing the sword like by moving, but you have to swing it very specifically, and even like hold the controller up in the air. Like it is expecting you to like it is like VR without any of the fun.
Without any fun.
And so when all of that kind of happened, and then the Wii U came out, and that was a total success. Actually, the Wii U was a great system. I
Really
feel
good
bad
system.
that it isn't loved. I understand why it didn't catch on. It was a hope for the Switch, but didn't get there. Sure. But nonetheless, then they.
Well, I feel like really quick here. I feel like the Wii U made the Switch a success. All the great games that came from the Wii U. Well, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch is still one of the best-selling games like ever.
As a Wii U owner, that frustrated me to no end.
Mario Kart 8 was great on the Wii U.
But what I mean is I've bought most Switch games twice.
All those games twice. Yeah, that's true.
But then they ported out over Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, and those were great ports. Done really well.
I played Wind Waker. I didn't play Twilight Princess for the port.
And then the Switch came, blah, blah, and as it happened. And so those ports would have been easy. In fact, the one port that makes no sense to try to do is Skyward Sword. The controls don't work well enough. You can't.
They don't feel great on the Switch. I'm going to be honest with you.
And that's the
if
problem.
If you're playing in handheld mode or something,
they had to.
Oh, I have to use this control stick.
They came up with a solution. It still wasn't great. Like I said, I played through it. And at the end of the game, I was still unfamiliar with the control pad. Like,
did you use the Joy-Cons detached?
No,
So I've done that a couple times, and it feels better. It feels better than.
I had thought about it a couple times, especially like when fighting Demise, because I was like, but like, the mechanics were just not there. So I was like, why in the world would you choose to do this? Why would you choose to release Skyward Sword when you have the ports already at hand for two kind of better games?
I would say better, yeah.
And after playing Skyward Sword, I've realized that Skyward Sword has an amazing story. Like, Skyward Sword suffers its gameplay. You suffer its gameplay because of the amazing story. Like, it is a great story, and especially if you're someone who likes to kind of watch like how it might go. It's not any spoiler. Skyward Sword is the preliminary story. It is like the near genesis story of the Zelda mythos, and to know that is great. And so this is my theory. This is my theory on the Nintendo business side. So I think that if they had released Skyward Sword with Wind Waker and
Twilight Princess.
Thank you. I was like the other one.
TP.
I think it would have been overshadowed entirely. because
They
it's a
would
harder.
play
It's a harder game.
the
to play.
good gameplay games, right?
Yeah, and also they're fan favorites, despite everyone hating them when they came out.
I loved that. That was weird. Everyone was clamoring for, oh, we want more Ocarina of Time like characters, and then they made Twilight Princess, and they're like, no, we didn't want this.
Yeah, it went. It's
Hold on a minute.
It's like Whiplash going from like the cartooniest version of Link, and then Nintendo's like, oh, we need to do the serious version now because everyone's ticked at us.
Yep.
But you could definitely see. So Tears of the Kingdom. Lord, there's so many Zelda games.
They're all good.
Twilight Princess is clearly the artistic successor. The artistic origin of where we got to with Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild. Like they just kind of generally softened that and got to where we were. But I think if they released all three, we would have never played Skyward Sword. And I think at its core, Skyward Sword is important to the story of Tears of the Kingdom.
I agree with you. It has to be, or else.
I'm
confused.
Not only is it because they were like, I think they released it and they probably have the other two ports and they're just gonna wait because I think Tears of the Kingdom's this year and then they want to release Zelda games every year. That's what they said, and then they're gonna not. What a great way to release a game next year, not really steal from Tears of the Kingdom sales, but still keep up with their kind of hope, is they could release it on stores next year. But the reason they had to release this kind of mediocre remake of Skyward Sword was because of whatever narrative is in it, they really needed to remind people of. Not enough people played it on Wii, because like I said, death rattles of Wii. And no one. I actually found Skyward Sword at a charity shop here in London, and I bought it for £2 on the Wii.
Wow!
And I tried playing it, and it was like, first off, going backwards to the Wii. You do it,
Well, I play the GameCube games on the Wii.
But going back to non-HD is tough sometimes. And so. The way, like, I will say that the HD upgrade for Skyward Sword looks great.
Yeah.
But did you know the person who directed Skyward Sword is the same director of the game Breath of the Wild, and is the same director who is directing Tears of the Kingdom?
So maybe that has something to do with it.
I mean, coincidence? I think not. But that leads me to, that's the business. That's why I honestly think they didn't release it, because it would have been messy, because I think the story has something to do with it. But that kind of rambled thought brings me to where I would love to ask you, what do you think the story base is? Now, whether you've played Skyward Sword or not, my guess is you've probably bet online.
Once or twice.
And so at this point, there's been enough people who have played it, who have guessed. What do you think's right? What do you think's wrong? What are some thoughts? Because we've been playing games for between us nearly 70 years of experience playing video games.
Oh, that's more. Yeah, probably nearly 70. I don't think we started at birth, but yeah.
But yeah, so nearly 70 years of video game experience. With all that experience, and you having a video game YouTube channel, and me just having a massive geekdom for all things games and Zelda, including, if you've noticed up here, if you're watching this on a video version of the podcast, you might see that I have a blood moon. That eventually goes red at certain times.
Have you noticed it gone red?
I did notice it. Just went red. That's what drew my attention to it.
Okay.
And so between us, I think we have enough to assess if we think someone is full of poop.
I mean, it's fun to guess, even if we don't have
even
qualifications.
Better. I will confess, actually, my screensaver right now, right on this screen that's like to the side, is all the cutscenes from Breath of the Wild.
Just playing? Like the memories?
They're all just, it's my screensaver over there. So
that's pretty
right
cool.
now it's Urbosa just beating up some Yiga clan.
The Yiga clan. That was annoying. Cool. Good story.
I have no idea what they're going to be like in this game, if they're even going to be present. They've not been in any of the
I don't think we didn't eradicate the Yiga clan.
Well,
that one guy that fell down that pit.
We defeated the leader. But then you fight the Yiga clan after him. It was like, for the fallen Lord Toga?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually played through Breath of the Wild.
So, all right.
And I was thinking about doing it before Tears of the Kingdom, but I was like, maybe I'll just hold off. Maybe coming at it brand new fresh was a good idea. But maybe not.
So what do you think?
I think... Let's see. I've heard some theories online about what the stories is.
Yeah.
And the one that made the most sense to me is that it's the trilogy based on the Triforce. And
I've heard that one too.
You've heard this one that Skyward Sword is it Wisdom? And then Breath of the Wild is the other one, Courage. And
I think it was Power.
Power?
I think Skyward Sword was Power. Red.
Okay. All right.
Because it's red,
green, which is
red,
Wisdom.
blue, green. Yeah.
Right. Which is all the colors.
I mean, I guess
of the rainbow.
All the important ones.
All the important ones. No, but I think that one makes the most sense. That it's a Triforce trilogy. That's gonna all tie together with those three. As far as does it just go off?
It just went off. I tried to catch it fast enough, but it wasn't. Now, what
I don't have any specifics here.
You don't have so.
No.
So here, let's completely hypothesize. Let's just we'll stray into areas I haven't actually heard of. What do you think the start of the game is? Like
start of the game,
it starts in probably Fade from Black.
I feel like it's going to start with the whole, that scene in the trailer where it's Ganon or Demise or whoever sucking the power out of the Master Sword. I feel like they're going to kick it off with the tragedy.
So like the only narrative we've actually seen that whole
only narrative we've seen. I don't feel like that's Endgame. That would be a silly thing for Nintendo to release in a trailer, right?
I mean, I agree.
Or possibly it's not in the game at all. Marvel used to do that with their trailers. They'd put like a full scene in the trailer and nothing would be at all spoken of in the movie, which would be interesting. But
so they're traveling. That scene that like we got like very back like 3.5 years ago, right? Like they're traveling through the caves.
Oh, that's right, and they find the bones of Ganondorf, right?
Yeah, and that seems to be like those moments, at least in what we've got, seem to all be roughly together. And then there's some sort of cataclysm, and Link's arm gets damaged, jumps to save Zelda, but
presumably she falls to her death.
Yeah, the end.
It's what it seems like.
The legend of Zelda ends here.
That was the legend of Zelda.
Wow.
It'd be the saddest way to end the series, by the way.
If she dies at the
start.
By the way,
guys, no more Zelda games.
I mean, the newer trailers imply that she clearly didn't.
Correct. And the Zonai implied that they're a lot more impacted in this storyline.
Yeah.
The ancient civilization of Hyrule. And it looks a lot like, I know you've watched some of these theories too, that it looks exactly like Zelda. Like all dressed up as Zelda and everything, except definitely not Zelda. Just like a different person dressed up the same exact way as her.
Yeah. And I find that interesting. So one of the theories I heard, and tell me if you heard this theory, because I can't remember who said it, or I'd totally give them credit. It wasn't my theory.
Nope.
But it was, they were talking about the Ouroboros, the fact that there's a dragon and a snake, or a dragon and a snake eating itself, and that tends to be an image of like eternity or the cyclical nature of time and those types of things. And so the idea was, what if we saw the very beginning of the Legend of Zelda, and actually currently we're about to see the very end. And in some way, shape, or form, they bend it, because time has always been a challenging, it's all as far as since Ocarina, time has been flexible in Zelda games. Sure. And the idea that
they wrote giant books about them.
Yeah. What if this game both ends the Legend of Zelda, but also starts the Legend of Zelda? And so we find out for the first time that Zelda is a descendant of the goddess Hylia in Skyward Sword. That's a surprising. I didn't realize that was new information. And so apparently that's the first time we find out about that, because we had the three goddesses, Din, Nehru, and Balandra. No, that's the princess from the Shi'ar. I can't remember the other one. Din, Nehru, and
Lenora? Lanru? No, that's not.
What's the mount? Lanayru.
Lanayru, yeah, I was close. I just was saying it awfully wrong.
I was like, this is mountain.
Yeah. The whole area in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So the three original goddesses created the world, made the Triforce, trusted it with Hylia, or Hylia, depending on one's inflection. And then during the whole thing with Demise, Hylia, which I apparently prefer the pronunciation of, decides to give up her godliness, her divinity, and reincarnate as a person through the royal lineage of Zelda. And then we get to things like Breath of the Wild, where she's like, the princess with the blood of the goddess, and all those things. And I wonder if that person we're seeing in the new trailer is actually the Super Saiyan version of Zelda, or the fully realized version of Hylia. Oh. That's why she looks like Zelda, but she doesn't really look like Zelda. There's something different. It's almost like the Bible talks about the transfiguration of Christ, where it's oh, that's Jesus, kind of. That looks. This is like the transfiguration of Zelda, which feels blasphemous. Mm-hmm. But I didn't write the story.
Yeah, I agree that probably has a big part to play in this one, especially since we've been talking about the trilogy being based on the goddesses. I'm trying to think while I'm talking.
No, it's okay.
It never works out for me.
I've just given up on thinking, and I just talk.
Just talk?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it gets me through. Also story-wise, that I'm intrigued by, something that I have not heard anyone talk about, is the voice actor Matt Mercer has been. He confirmed that he is the voice of Ganondorf.
Yeah.
So the internet blew up. He's a famous voice actor. He does a Dungeons and Dragons thing called Critical Role. The internet blew up when they heard him, "Rise, my minions." And everyone was like, "That's Matt Mercer's voice, rather." And everyone freaks out. And then eventually he finally confirms, "Yes, I am doing the voice of Ganondorf." But here's the thing. In the newest trailer, we see a creature we're not familiar with. It's not Ganondorf. Mm-hmm. It looks like the speculation seems to be maybe it's a Zonai, maybe it's a sage, but the character puts their on hand on Zelda's shoulder and gives these comforting words to her.
Yep.
But that voice sounds like Matt Mercer's voice as well.
Yes, I've heard this one as well.
And I'm so intrigued on what that might imply. I have no idea.
One of my favorites is, what if Ganondorf was an original sage?
Ooh, like Lucifer. Yeah. I mean, this there's a lot of overlap in the kind of Zelda narrative to biblical narratives. There's a surprising amount.
I feel like modern stories are heavily influenced by.
I once heard a Baptist preacher being it's the only story ever told.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Maybe it's true.
Yeah,
but there seems to be a lot of understanding the cyclical power of evil, the fact that evil can be overcome with love and light, but actually until it's done once and for all, it's something that has to be dealt with. And so there's a lot of interesting biblical narratives that find themselves in games like Zelda. But that would be fascinating. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
But also that doesn't explain why that guy looks like a Lizalfo.
Well, if we're talking about huh?
So some people have said maybe it's a Zonai, maybe that's what the Zonai people look like, but it looked kind of like a Lizalfo to me.
Oh,
not saying that it is. I'm just saying that was
that'd be weird.
The easiest rudimentary space in my head. But yeah, maybe what if Lizalfo fell? What if they were the Zonai, and over time they devolved?
Lizard people.
Yeah, and then they worked their way into politics. Sorry.
Um,
Yeah.
Well,
How fast are you gonna try to play through Tears of the Kingdom?
I'll probably try to do like the story mode. Maybe. I don't know. Here's the deal. With Breath of the Wild, I was like, I'm gonna do the story mode, and I went through it, and I got to like two of the
Divine beasts.
things. I can't remember divine beasts. And I was like, I really want to do all these side quests, and then I found the Master Sword, and I was like, oh, I need 13 hearts. So I went off like on a way tangent, and it took me forever to actually beat the game. But so I think maybe that's the gameplay.
Well, I mean,
pretend like I'm gonna try the story mode and then just get lost.
So I'm planning on devoting hours to it. I have an essay actually due the week after it comes out. I'm going to finish that essay for the 12th because I'm like,
so you're not gonna procrastinate schoolwork.
Yeah. I'm actually
for once in your life.
Surprising move. I am going to get my schoolwork done so I can play my video games.
Awesome. I'm sure Mom would be so proud of you.
Because I'm really excited. Like, the only problem I have at the moment is, and maybe this is a problem that you might run into as well, but my children are really excited for it.
Ooh.
And I think I'm going to have to play it twice. Because like I'm not going to stop my like advance at all costs version of my playthrough. But equally, I feel when my daughter wants me to play, she's going to want to see what's going on every step of the way. And she goes to school, and I don't have to.
Nope.
So, like, there's going to be that week where I'm, like, just, like, locked in my room, like, lights out and, like, bloodshot eyes playing this game.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have to, like, go back and be, like, jumping off the Great Plateau. Or what was it called? The Great Sky Island?
Yeah, Skyland?
Nope. Skyland. It sounds like
Sky Rule.
That sounds like someone's like weird last name. Like, I'm Dirk Skyland.
Do we know someone with that last name?
Not that
sounds like a last name.
Not that I know of.
Dirk.
But I definitely don't know a Dirk. But I also know that I don't know. Like, I hope there have been games that I love, but I hope this keeps my attention better than those games that I love that I've actually not finished.
Yeah.
One of the ones being God of War Ragnarok. I think we've talked about that. Is that
I think we're like the same spot. We both just stopped.
And it's a brilliant game. It's not because
not that it was bad at all.
Yeah, it's not because it just somehow in the busyness of everything else didn't hold my attention.
That's the fun part about being an adult.
No.
Nope.
That is why I put in annual leave for the week after Zelda came out.
So when you play it, are you going to play it handheld on your OLED, or are you going to play it on a TV?
I'll probably play it on a TV.
Like, this is conflicting to me because the OLED looks so beautiful, and I have a great TV. Don't get me wrong, but when you put it in through the dock, it's the same as a regular Switch.
I think the OLED Switch has a little bit more power, though, doesn't it? It has a little little
but I meant like
internals,
graphically, it looks
which hopefully stops it from doing the kind of lag that
dropping those frames.
That was relevant in Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Even Breath of the Wild has a good amount of drop frames in it, but it's just harder to notice because it's a launch game.
Yeah, it happens a lot when multiple explosions, right? Like you shoot one of those lanterns through the eyes of the
right in the beginning,
the Moblin caves or the Bob Coblin, and suddenly it's like it's like,
wait, are they Bob Coblin or Bo Coblin?
Bob Coblin. I think it's Bo Coblin. I don't think there's another B there, right?
You said Bob, and I liked it.
Hi, Bob. Yeah,
Bob Coblin.
Well, I also was thinking that if we can name
Alan,
if we can name monsters in this. You know, you said like Minecraft, maybe we get name tags. I don't think that's a thing. It's not going to be a thing. But if we can, I want a bokoblin named Bob. And I want a Lionel named Richie.
Lionel Richie? That's it.
Who's this? This is my Lionel Richie.
Richie Lionel.
All right. We got a few more minutes before we want to wrap up, but random thought.
Yeah.
There's a lot of characters from the Legend of Zelda mythos that we did not see in Breath of the Wild. Who would you love to see make a return appearance from one of the previous games, either in actual or in kind of spiritual, like, successor? Clearly not Ganondorf. That's an unfair cheat.
Well, Ganondorf has always been something that I wanted to return.
Oh, he will return. Rise, my man. Sorry.
It's a great question. I love the sages in Ocarina of Time, and I'd love to see some of them come back.
Specific sages or as
like,
sage, like the idea of sages. Because then we have sages in Twilight Princess who are, like, seem very different.
Sure, very different. They were very different there. No, I mean specific people. Sorry.
Go ahead, name
Sarai,
another.
however you pronounce her.
Dare you to name another.
Man, I had it on my tip of my tongue until you said it. The Goron is named Daruk.
No,
that's in Breath of the Wild. Let's see. I'm feeling Link's wife. Remember, she gives him the stone, and now she has to marry him.
Oh yeah, but what's her name?
I don't know. Do you know her name?
Zora girl.
Zora girl.
She's the one that made, like, young people a little bit confused about their attraction to a fish.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot like Nala from The Lion King.
Nala, I'd like to see her return.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Jedi. Like to see the Jedi return
of them.
By the way, Impa is in Ocarina of Time.
Impa is definitely a sage too. Yeah,
I don't think she'll be a sage in this, and in fact, I wonder.
She's pretty old.
I wonder if she'll be in it at all. Actually, there might be a really like powerful moment of, like, having to visit her gravesite.
Ooh,
because this Tears of the Kingdom is supposed to take place a couple years after. That would be quite a, like, she lasted over 100 years waiting
for prophecy.
Yeah, and for the calamity to be destroyed, and she can go rest now. That I think that would be rather profound.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo games take it that far. But
have you not played Majora's Mask? That game is messed up.
No, I haven't. I always get stuck at the first temple.
Or the one where you had to be a
Deku nut.
Yeah.
Not the nut itself, but
the Deku shrub.
Shrub.
I would like to see Tinkle.
That would be fun.
I don't know how that would make. That's why I would love to see it. I'd love to see, because it's a little bit more serious of a world than some of the other Zelda.
It's a lot more serious of a world. Yeah.
And Tinkle, like, doesn't overly fit in. Ever.
No, not even in the games he's in.
Or the other person I would love a solid reference to would be almost anyone from the alternate planes. Because, like, this is a Breath of the Wild was a game that only took place in the plane of Hyrule. So there was no Dark Realm, there was no Twilight Realm, there was no Piccolo.
Midna. Now I want Midna in there.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like, Midna, I'd love a solid reference to Midna somehow. I don't know how.
She started off so annoying. She had great character development in that game.
Oh, and that was such a great
she's
reveal
like the best
at the end. You're like, you're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think both of us can honestly say I think we're just excited to be surprised.
I'm excited. Yep, they're going to throw something at us. It's going to be good. We've waited years. I love new Zelda games because you wait so long for them, and you know about them forever. And it's like, all right, well, sorry, we're going to postpone it for another year. It's like, no, but kind of yes, because it's going to be good. And then it's here, 2 weeks. It's here.
I do think part of my hypothesis on the game release was I do think it was meant to be released last year.
Yeah.
I think they ran into...
did you see...
I think they ran into issues.
With someone got their hands on a Zelda Switch, one of these Tears of the Kingdom Switches, and it had the software on it was from like last year, last June was the software. So it was like clearly these were meant to be released a year ago.
I mean, the pandemic messed up a lot of things in the
course,
world.
it did, for sure.
And probably one of them. But also, the Tears of the Kingdom looks really ambitious. Like the Ultra Hand, no, the Fuse. Well, yeah, the Fuse
cool.
and the whatever, I can't remember what it's called, GUI thing when you build things. Construct?
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember.
No, Construct is the name of the race of things.
Yeah. So I can't remember what it's called, but like that looks so overwhelmingly complex to figure out how you
I'm excited to figure out Ascend and try that and like everywhere.
So
where you go up through the floor?
Yeah. So I imagine that this isn't like DLC plus, like that, that critique.
No.
But my guess is it looks
even when people were making
deceptively
this,
simple.
Yes, it does. Even when people were saying that it's just like more Breath of the Wild, I was like, that's not a bad thing.
Who's complaining about
Everyone loved Breath of the Wild.
But like what? So. And I recently I really wish I knew YouTubers' names better than just their faces.
What's his face look like?
Yeah, his longer hair, like Drip Media or something. I can't remember. I watch him all the time, but I just can't remember his name.
I watch him all the time.
I just don't listen to names. But they were talking about the kind of fact that like this, if you're going to call this DLC plus, when isn't a game sequel DLC plus then? Like, why isn't God of War Ragnarok just DLC plus?
I actually argue that that's more DLC plus than Breath of the Wild.
Or Horizon Forbidden West.
See, that's a game I haven't played. I thought about playing.
Have you played the first one yet?
Played like the first 20 minutes. I mean, through the tutorial.
Those are gorgeous games. Those are games. That game is so gorgeous. I use the camera mode. That should tell you
that for me is The Last of Us Part 1.
Ooh, I see. All right, that's where I haven't played. So, all right, homework. Yep. No, both of us are going to play Zelda. But at some point, I should play Last of Us.
Make sure you play Tears of the Kingdom.
Homework. Horizon, and we both will play the crap out of Zelda between now and then.
Yes.
Any closing thoughts?
No, not really.
And I have nothing either to add. Thank you for joining us on this kind of inaugural trial run of Geek Tank. If you have any thoughts or comments or ideas on things we could talk about in the future, go ahead and put them down in the comments or send them to us telepathically. Would love to hear them. But outside that, we bid you a fond adieu, and hey, enjoy playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Good luck.